So let's get started with the dynamic block tool of AutoCAD. So dynamic blocks are more advanced type of blocks in which you can change their shape, size and their geometries using a set of rules or parameters even after inserting those block references in your drawing. Now as an example, I'll show you some dynamic blocks first, which we will make in this module. So here in this first example, we have this road sign block, and as of now you'll find it as a simple standalone object. But when you click on this object, you'll see the base point or the base grip, which is always present for a block reference, and also we have an additional grip. Now using this grip, we can change the appearance. Now here, if I change it to U-turn, the block will change in this way. If I click on this grip and change it to stop, it will change in this way. Now, this is still a single block, but we can change its properties even after inserting this block reference in our drawing. Now, here is another example. In this case, we have this sink, and here we have the base point and an additional grip. So when we click on this grip, we'll be able to stretch it or contract it to some particular distances. So that's a dynamic block. There is another form of this block here in example 3. In this case, we have a list, and from this list, we can change the block size. So I'll click on this and the block size changed. Similarly, we have these different sizes which are available for this block. So throughout this module, we'll learn to make these blocks and also lots of other blocks with dynamic properties using the rules, parameters, and actions. So the dynamic blocks can be made in the block editor environment, and the block editor is accessible only after creating a block. So here we have this simple object. We'll first convert it into a block and then we'll open it in a block editor to access the tools which are required for creating a dynamic block. So in order to convert it into a simple block, I'll click on this create block, and you're already aware of these steps. So I'll just name it. So I'll type sofa, and now I'll click on pick point, and in this case I'll select this lower left point as the pick point. Now I'll click on select objects, and I'll select all of these objects and press enter. Now we have this allow exploding option checked, and in this case make sure this open in block editor is checked. So this will directly open the block in block editor environment where we can modify this block. So now I'll click on OK. And we have the block here, but it's open in block editor, so it's still behaving as if it's a normal object. Now in this block editor environment, we have this block authoring palettes, and on this palette we have these different tabs. Now these tabs will be used for creating our dynamic block, and here we have the parameters which will be used in our dynamic block. We have the actions which are always accompanied with parameters, but not in all of the cases. There are some actions which don't require any parameter. And we have this parameter set, which is a combination of actions and parameters. And also we have the constraints which we have already seen, and we can use these constraints to make our own dynamic block. Now these constraints are also available here on the panel. So we have the geometric constraints, the dimensional constraints, and if for any reason you are not able to find this block authoring palettes, for example, let's say that we don't have it here, I'll close it. Now in that case, you can bring it again by clicking on this authoring palettes tool from the manage panel. Here we have it. So once you are done with this block editor window, click on close block editor, and here we have our block. So this was an introduction to the dynamic block and some examples of the dynamic blocks.